And I want to talk about something really interesting, and that's this concept of defending your hand in poker. So the reason I'm telling you this is today, during a session with someone, I basically did do this thing where sometimes, even if my clients or even if somebody I'm working with or helping takes the perfect line and I have no actual argument with it or any problem with it, I act like they're so wrong. And this is not to like amateur play, like, I don't want to use the word amateur. This is not to beginner players. This is to pretty seasoned players who are good and want to take it like to the next level. And they'll say, you know, listen, Blake, I did this and this and that and this ABC, and they told me the whole hand. And I'll say to them just out of the blue, I'm like, oh, that was absolutely terrible. Like, that made no sense. And they'll go, really? And I'll say, yeah, let me explain. And I just basically start making things up. I'm like, I make up terms, right? I'm like, all right, like, yeah, I think you could have got more value is one of the big things, right? That's like any player can say that in poker. I think you could have got more value. And it's like, all right, in this spot, you could have made more money. So that's how I preface it. I think you could have gotten more value. You should have done this. And I keep convincing them. And at first, you see that there's a little bit of like, I don't know, I don't really see it. And then they have this moment of where they like click. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, you're so right. I could have got so much more value if I just, you know, check called the flop instead of let out. And then I start laughing. And then I start saying something like, no, I'm just messing with you, man. And they go, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of screwing with you. You took a perfect line. You had the perfect defense in terms of why you took that line. Haha. And they're confused. And the point I make as a coach is that sometimes a lot of players, they can't get to the next level in the game because they're suffering from, they need validation for everything they do. They need to be told that they're making the right decision. They need to be told that, you know, they know enough about the game to play those stakes, or they're good enough to play that level. They seek all this validation. And there's a certain level in the game where, you know, you don't want external validation. You want to have a style. Of course, you want to get feedback and advice from friends. But if your thought process is so malleable to the fact that you can't defend a line that you took, even though if you think you took the correct line or did the correct thing, the issue may not be fundamentals of poker. The issue may not be, you know, understanding how to narrow a player's range, or it might be something more foundational, and that's the sense that, like, players are looking for answers or looking for a specific thing. And I've seen this in so many different contexts in poker, or with so many different clients. I remember one of my favorite stories is I had a client come in with a client comes in who's like this, always wants to know the next thing, always wants to know like how he can improve, how he can be better, even though for the stakes that this guy plays, he can absolutely crush it. And I wrote on the board something like a non-linear objective approach to understanding ranges using game theory in poker, right? I wrote this like crazy bullshit, just use of words. And guy comes in, right? And he looks at the whiteboard, and I see him look the first time, and I say to, and he says to me like, oh, so what's that? I was like, oh no, you're not there yet, man. Like let's not focus on that. And he was like, well, what do you mean? Like, can you explain to me, like, what it is? And I just start kind of making up stuff. And he's like, oh, you know, I was like, do you want to spend the rest of the lesson going over that? And he's like, yeah, no, I would love it. And you see, like, that excitement in his eyes, and his eyes open up wide. And I'm like, I start hysterical laughing. And he's like, what are you laughing about? I was like, I made that up. Like, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, I knew you would find that interesting, and you want more. And you constantly think that more will get you to the next thing, that understanding what this is, understanding what that is. I mean, I have players that, I see people use the term GTO so many times, it's not even funny. It's just GTO. You don't even know what that means, man. Like, come on, it's really kind of comical. And it's a validation issue. It's, I want to learn everything out there so I can be the best player possible. And sometimes, no matter what you do, and that's a great approach, right? But no matter what you do, you won't reach your highest potential because you're looking for solutions. Where you're looking for solutions or you're looking for validation, when what you really need is the self-confidence to be able to defend the positions that you take at the table and to really come up with rational reasons on why you're doing the way you're doing. And you know, one of the tests of when I know that my job is done, or I know that my clients or the people that I work with are like more established players is when I challenge them and they start fighting back. So I challenge them and they start fighting back at me and saying like, no, Blake, well, it doesn't really make sense. This is the reason why, blah, blah, and I'm like, all right, good. Like they are starting to come up with that foundational level of, I know that what I'm doing is right because of A, B, C, and X, Y, Z, and not just, oh yeah, I should do this because this person told you to. So I feel like a lot of better players are at this stage, this looking for answers thing, even though they know most of the foundational stuff. And it's so cool. Like sometimes every once in a while when I look at them, I'm like, no, you know, you're doing everything good. Their performance just skyrockets because they have that underlying principle of confidence or underlying energy or whatever you want to call it, or of confidence is the driving factor allowing them to make the right calls and to make the right decisions at the table. So it's something you should look at your game. If you see yourself in any of these stories, you might be struggling from that. And you know, poker is a tricky game because it's sometimes not sure if you know what you're doing, and sometimes, you know, you could know what you're doing, and have tons of leaks. You could, you know, you could think you're the most horrible poker player in the world, but in reality, you think at a higher capacity than most players. It's hard to learn. It's hard to learn how to adjust. So I feel you there, but it's a really, really, really important aspect. I mean, like confidence and understanding where you're at in that skill level, or realistically in that skill level, is incredibly valuable and incredibly important to your, you know, long-term success. All right, that's about it. I have been working for the past, I think it's like 18 hours. It's like an 18-hour day, or maybe a little bit less. Went to see Star Wars. It was good. I don't know how I feel. I kind of reproduced the New Hope, A New Hope plot. The first, you know, Star Wars, the episode 4, kind of like was the same thing, but I think it was a good movie. But yeah, anyways, that's about it. I got something really exciting coming soon. I've been working for the past, you know, nonstop on it. Schoolcars.com/signup. I can't wait to let everybody know. Yeah, and look to some interesting videos because I'm traveling a little bit, so I'm going to be bringing the camera with me to like Boston and Maine and all over the place. So that's about it. Thanks so much for watching.